All right, well, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the next fishing adventure. In today's adventure, we're fishing a local reservoir. It's maybe about 40 miles away from my house. It's actually a cooling lake for at the local nuclear power plant. And as I'm not sure if you guys are aware, reservoirs are basically man-made lakes. So what they did is they found a river, they dammed it up, they let the valley flood, and they use that for power, either through the hydroelectric dam or to cool the nuclear power plant, which is just north of here. I'm just leaving the boat launch right now. Because this is basically a flooded valley, what reservoirs tend to have is a lot of submerged trees, because they don't cut any of that stuff down. They just dam up the river and just let it flood. So there's submerged trees, there's submerged road beds, railroad tracks, all kinds of stuff that, oh, big fish just wait right there. All kinds of stuff that you would find just in a normal valley. I mean, there could be old farm ponds, farm posts, fences, all kinds of stuff. I haven't explored a lot of this lake, but I did find one submerged road bed that seems like all the fishermen know about, but I've spent some time fishing that and had a lot of success. So we're gonna hit that today. It is Memorial Day weekend. It's early in the morning right now, so there's just nothing but fishermen on the water. But in a couple of hours, it's going to get really busy. There's going to be a lot of people just going up and down in the recreational boats, water skiing and all kinds of stuff like that. So the water is going to get really choppy. The wakes are going to get really heavy, and I'm going to be in the main body of water, in the main lake. So I'm going to hope to get a few hours of fishing in before it gets too out of control and unsafe, because I do stand up in my kayak, and there's been a couple times where I've almost fallen overboard. So we're going to try and avoid that. But yeah, so this lake holds everything from bluegill and different types of sunfish to crappie to white bass and yellow perch and largemouth bass, and then two species that I've never caught, pickerel and striped bass. I doubt very highly that I'll catch a striped bass today. I'm not going to be doing that type of fishing, but every once in a while bass fishermen will run into, or largemouth bass fishermen rather, will run into a striped bass, and which would be really sweet, but I'm not anticipating that, but you never know. There is a chance that I'll catch a pickerel today. There's always that chance whenever you're fishing for bass. Pickerel kind of hang out in the same types of spots and fish on the same type of forage. Oh man, there's something blowing up right ahead of me. So there's always that chance. So I'm gonna go to my spot. I actually see some activity here. I know that there's a couple of areas around here where I've caught fish before, so I'm gonna stop here in just a little bit and see how we do. But I hope to get at least 3 or 4 hours in before the lake gets a little bit too crazy, but we'll just see how it goes. All right, so stay tuned. Okay, so there is the nuclear power plant up there, and in the fall and winter when it starts getting colder, the striped bass all tend to congregate up there, because basically what that is a cooling tower or a cooling station. The water gets sucked up in to keep the reactors cool and comes out warmer at the discharge. So the shad all migrate up there to get away from the colder water, and of course are followed by the predators, the main ones being striped bass. So one of these years, if I'm brave enough, I'll come out here and fish up there. It's just I just don't like getting wet in the cold, and it's a lot easier to do that type of fishing if you actually have a proper bass boat where you don't have to actually get in the water in order to launch. As you can see, I have my electronics here today, and the reason this is important is where I'm going to be fishing. I need to find the old submerged road bed, and of course you can't find those things unless you have some sort of electronics to let you know exactly where the water goes. It gets shallow. And what it is, it's just what you would imagine. It's a street that ran across this area from one end of the valley to the other. And the water goes from about 20 feet and it rises up to about 10 or 11 feet, depending on the level of the lake. And I like to fish that hump. And the nice thing about it, it's only about a half mile away from the boat launch, so I don't have to paddle very far. I didn't bring my electric motor because I knew I wasn't going to have to paddle very far today. But this is just a really, really pretty lake. Water temperature is really warm. I can feel I'm getting a little bit of water dripping on my legs, and it's definitely warm. And the reason being is it's warm at night, it's warm during the day, so the water temperature just starts getting warmer and warmer and warmer as the summer progresses. And we've had a pretty significant heat wave here recently. So we're about halfway there, and I don't see anyone on the spot, which is awesome. Normally when I get there, there's already like 2 or 3 bass boats there, because these guys get out here at the crack of dawn, just at first light. And I'm thinking a lot of people are kind of turned off to the idea, since it is Memorial Day weekend, there is going to be a lot of boat traffic on here. But you know, a few hours in the morning isn't bad. But just a beautiful area. I'll let you guys kind of see what we got going on here. As you can see, the sun is well up, but it's a very, very pretty lake. Some people don't like it because it is, you know, a nuclear power plant's cooling lake. But if you listen to the science behind it, nuclear power plants are very, very safe. And if there ever was any kind of issue, they would shut the place down, of course. So anyway, we will check in once we get to our little hump. Hopefully we get a chance to catch some bass today. If anything, there's always crappie and bluegill to be caught, and sometimes a passing school of white bass will come by. And usually when you run into one, you run into a bunch of them because they tend to school up. So we'll see how we do today. Okay, so I don't know how well you guys can see that, but we're at 21 feet right now. That means directly under the boat. It's 20, now it's 20.5. And kind of coming back onto that hump. What it was over there, that point runs all the way across over to that side of the lake. You see it's coming up, it's 17 feet, 18. So gotta come back. Once I get over, I think it was about 10 feet was the most shallow. That's where I'm gonna drop anchor. And I'll just position myself over that hump. Now all this stuff right here could just be fish. It could be weeds down there. I'm hoping it's bait fish, because if there's bait fish, that means there's other fish underneath it. But it takes a little while to find that spot, so it's getting deeper now. So let's go back over here. All right, 15 feet, 14. All right, this should be good enough here, 13 feet. So we're coming up on our spot here. 12. That's good enough. We'll drop here. So I'm gonna fish that area and this over here. I've had more success fishing down that area. Oh, mosquito just bit me. Here we are, 10 feet of water. So this is where we wanna be. Now, I've got to let the boat settle and figure out which way the current and the wind is going to face me, and then I can position my boat appropriately. So yeah, we're exactly 10 feet of water right now. I'm hoping you guys can read that. Okay, we're starting the morning off with essentially what fishermen would call as a search bait. This is a lipless crankbait, so it sinks. This one, when it sinks in this direction. Some of them sink completely horizontal like this, some of them sink vertically. It matters, and it's certain little details like that. But what I like about this bait, it has a lot of vibration, has those rattles inside of it, and it's very versatile in the sense I can fish it really slowly. I could let it settle to the bottom and then pop it back up. Something just jumped over there. Or I can swim it back really quickly, but there's a ton of vibration in it, which will call active fish up from down deep. They'll feel that vibration on what's called their lateral line, which is that line that runs right along the side of the fish that actually has a lot of nerve tissue and sensory tissues, and it allows the fish to pick up on vibrations in the water. I'm actually starting off fishing it fairly quickly. Oh, there's a hit. Fish on, fish on. All right. Second cast of the day. What do we got? All right, that's a white bass right there. So if there's one, I'm sure there's more. Decent size, maybe about 9 inches. But it'll go to show you that's a fairly large bait for that little fish. But they're, ow, stuck me. They're, again, they just hear the vibration, they come up and they hit it. Wow, that stuck me pretty good. All right, buddy. Let's get you back into the water. There you go. All right, so we got the skunk off. He stuck me, I stuck him. I think it's fair game there. If you're not bleeding, you're not fishing. Is that a rule? I don't know if that's a rule. But that's probably what I've seen coming up. I've seen a lot of fish rising, chasing stuff up to the surface. So we'll slow it down just a little bit. But again, this little hump, it's really productive. I've caught a lot of different fish here. I've caught bass, I've caught bluegill, I've caught crappie, obviously white bass, and I've caught some fairly large-sized catfish in the 4, 5, 6 pound range. I'm fishing with a bait caster. I have 10-pound line on here. Pretty versatile setup. I do have my ultralight pole. If you guys know me, know how much I like fishing my ultralight. But there are some big fish in here, and I'm not trying to get broke off very easily. But I brought the ultralight because if all else fails, I can go into these pockets and fish for like bluegill and stuff like that. But so far, so good. Okay, fish on just after I turned off the camera. This might be a largemouth. It's fighting a little bit harder than a white bass. If not, it's a good sized white bass. Yep, largemouth. Oh no, that's just a very big white bass. That's a good sized bass right there for that species. I was expecting to catch a lot of largemouth, or at least catch some largemouth. Not expecting to catch too many of these guys. This actually might be a white perch. It's hard to tell the difference. There's little minute details that you can use to tell the difference between them, but I don't really care to. Oh, he was not getting off. There we go. There you go. Pretty fish. I'm actually going to take a picture of this one. It's a good size. I really think that's a perch. White bass tend to have more stripes on them, and with there being striped bass in here, there's always confusion between the two. And again, there's ways of telling the difference between those two as well. But anyway, let's get some pictures of this guy and let him go. Okay, well, the nice thing about these bait casters, you can cast them really far. You don't have to worry about line twist. Because I did kind of overshoot my hump, I know on that side over there, it gets really deep. It gets into the 20-foot range. And so I'll make sure this gets a chance to sink down, because as you retrieve it, it has a natural tendency to come up towards you. So I'm going to pause it every once in a while and give it a chance to get back down deep. But I think if it is those white bass or white perch, whatever they are, I keep seeing fish boil up and chasing stuff up to the surface. So I think they're all up and down the water column, so I don't really have to worry that much about it. But the larger fish will tend to be down towards the bottom. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the videos of like the great white sharks coming up and breaching after the sea lions and seals. Large fish tend to do that too. They'll stay deep and kind of come straight up into the school of bait fish. So I'm trying different retrieves to see if I can get an aggressive bite and also to get that vibration really going. Okay, sometimes this happens. It gets a little twisted up in the line. When that happens, it's not going to swim right, obviously. And sometimes that happens in the middle of the cast because I'm jerking it and swimming down, jerking, and it gets all twisted up in the line. So that'll happen sometimes. It's just all part of fishing. But in that cove, they seem to be right in that area there. I'm not sure if you guys can see where I've casted, but I keep seeing activity over in that area. And even though I'm out here, there's a fish. Oh, I missed him. Even though I'm out here fishing, hoping for largemouth bass, I mean, if this is what's biting, this is what I'll, you know, this is what I'll take. Is there still fish on? No. I missed that bite. But again, right back in here, that's where all the action is right now. So that could have just been a smaller fish. There he is. There he is. I gotcha. I gotcha. Yeah, there's a school of them down there. What do we got here? Another nice size. This one's bigger than the last one. He was not getting off. He got all 3 hooks in that mouth. He was not going anywhere. That's a good sized fish. Let's see. That's good 11, 12 inches right there. It's hard for you guys to tell because that's a wide angle camera that I'm recording with. But here's some comparison. There's my hand. My hand from tip is about 8 inches long. And he's got a good 4 or 5 inches on that. So that'll go to show you that's a good sized fish. I couldn't measure him. Ooh, that's how I got stuck last time. I couldn't measure him, but no point. I mean, this isn't a trophy or anything like that, but it's a good sized fish. All right, so let's get this guy back into the water. That's fish number 3. I'm really starting to think that these are white perch. He's been out of the water for a little bit. I'm going to revive him a little bit. And he'll swim off when he's ready. And there he goes. Okay, I just found a stump. Now, if I was fishing from shore, that would be the end of that bait. But this gives me an opportunity to show you something pretty cool. I bought this new anchor. The nice thing about this is 20 feet of anchor line on here. You see there's this float on here. So what I can do, and the purpose of this is actually if you catch a really big fish and have to disconnect. You can disconnect, leave that there, it's gonna float. You can come back and find that. And I can come over here and hopefully get my lure back, because these things are not cheap. They're like $7-8 a pop. And I have lures that are considerably more expensive than that, but still, if you're out here fishing, you are going to get snagged up from time to time, and you can only afford to lose so many of these things. Not only that, you can only afford to buy so many of them, so I only have so many in my tackle box to begin with, so it's definitely worth going after and retrieving this bad boy. What I'm doing here is I'm actually going to use the line to pull myself closer and closer. I could paddle out there, but what ends up happening is with the slack line, I have the sonar is in the water there. I don't want to get my line all tangled up with that. So it's just easier to just do this. It's a little bit more time consuming, but if you look back, my float's sitting right there. I'll know where my anchor's at. I can go back and reconnect here in just a little bit after I hopefully get this loose. There, it's loose now. Just pop loose. And that'll happen. The reason it pops loose is just a slightly different angle. So the hooks are embedded like this, and as your line changes that angle, we'll just pop it loose. So a lot of times you're able to get your lures back that way. But anyway, let's get ourselves hooked back up to our anchor. Fish just jumped up right there. I think I am going to switch up to the jig, because one of the reasons I like it so much, it is very versatile and you can catch so many different species of fish, whereas what I'm fishing right now, I'm only going to catch bass and perch, things that are feeding on shad. Whereas for some reason, those curlew tail jigs, you can catch all different kinds of stuff. I'll catch catfish, bass, bluegill, perch, you name it. And they're all along this hump here. And there's a pocket right there. I'm in over 8 feet of water right now. Side here. Kind of glad I got to show you guys that. So now I just take that and I'm anchored again. Easy peasy, just like that. All right, fish on. Another perch. Good size one. Definitely use the net on this one. This is one of the larger ones. That guy, I don't know if you can see that bass boat right there. He's cruising around with his sonar on, trying to find his spot. Yeah, not as big as I thought it was. Still a decent sized one. Most white perch that I've caught in my life have been in the 4 to 6 inch range. So all of these are above my average size fish for this species. And I downsized from that larger lipless crankbait to this one. And I've already, I think, doubled my numbers, or close to doubling my numbers just by doing that. Same color, same retrieve, nothing has changed, just slightly smaller. And a lot of times it's little details like that that'll matter. So there's 2 boats coming down here fairly quickly. They're gonna throw up a good wake when they come out, by the time it gets to my way. So things like that I have to be paying attention to, knowing that in about a minute or 2 that wake is gonna reach me. Caught a clam. Second one of those it is for the day. Another fish hit right near the boat. I'm not even keeping track. I have no idea how many that is, but have caught a lot of these white perch. I just find it really funny. I was not expecting this. I really was thinking more white bass and largemouth bass today. I've never guessed that this is what's going to dominate the day. And it's interesting, it's the only species I've caught. This hump holds every kind of species: bass, catfish, white and largemouth bass, catfish. Wouldn't be surprised to catch a pickerel out of here every once in a while, because there's weeds along here. It's just really, really odd that this is the only species I've caught. Now the day's still young. I'm going to be out here for about another hour. I'm calling it a day. It's almost 10 o'clock. I'm going to call it a day at around 11. But this is just a pleasant surprise. I've never been skunked at this lake. I've always caught something. And ever since I've discovered this hump, I've caught larger numbers of fish. And there's a reason I only fish here. I mean, there's no point for me to move and explore more. I think the only way that's ever going to happen, oh, there's a fish, is if I get here and there's already a bunch of fishermen boats on the spot. But this is bordering on too easy. And again, not complaining. I want to make sure the fish gods understand that. I am not complaining, because I've had days where its fishing has been a lot tougher than this. Did you get one loose? Trying to figure out which one of these hooks wants to come loose first. Okay, let's see how we'll do this. There's one. Alright, ow, something's biting me. Another one. He almost jerked the rod out of my hand. And again, these are aggressive bites. They're getting caught in the mouth. All treble hooks in. I mean, they are definitely in feeding mode. The body of the fish is really warm. The water is really warm, so the fish are very, very active right now. And even though it's later in the day, I mean, it's 10 o'clock in the morning, but for fish, that's fairly late. They usually feed early at first light and kind of start shutting down. These guys look like they're going to be feeding all day long. Yeah, I know. There we go. Yeah. But that was a very, very aggressive bite, which tells me it wasn't just a reaction strike. They're still feeding, which again, surprising. Now, I will say white perch are a lot easier to catch, obviously, than largemouth bass and some of the other species that people target. But this is still fairly late in the day for them to still be feeding this aggressively. Now, I don't see them blowing up like I did earlier where they were, whoa. That was a largemouth bass. That was a very big largemouth bass. There's a fish on. Oh my God. That was huge. All right, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so they're not blowing up where they're like they were earlier in the day or this morning, where they were actually coming up like that bass just did. I could just sit here and watch them coming up, hitting, you know, chasing whatever it was that they're feeding on. Oh my God, that bass was huge. That was a very, very big bass. All right, let's bring it down. All right, another fish on. So people might ask, well, why didn't you fish after that bass? Well, he already let me know he's here. He's clearly not hitting what I'm throwing. I've been over that particular body of water numerous times with this bait. I'm hoping that on one of these passes I get a reaction strike out of him. But I know he's there. He's not going to go very far. It's not like he's going to come up, whatever he was chasing, eat it, and then go swim to the opposite end of the lake. He's still in this vicinity here. The fact that it came up all the way to the surface like that lets me know that it is feeding. That wasn't a defensive strike. It is the post spawn. All the bass have already spawned, and no bass is going to come that far from their bed. If they do have a nest down there, they're not going to come that far away to defend it. So it's feeding on something, and obviously the hope is that it's still feeding and it sees my lure at some point. I do have that curly tail jig on my ultralight, but there's no way I'm going after a bass of that size with that rod and that light line. So all I can do is just keep on fishing. If I hook into him, or actually that was a female, for it being that big, that was definitely a female. If I hook into her or her partner, great. If I don't, it's been a great day on the water, and I was actually able to catch that little event on camera. Those things don't happen very often, especially that close to the boat. So that was really cool. Good bite. Good bite. Oh, I got him broadside, that's why I felt bigger. I should probably keep the hemostats actually physically on me. I'm gonna keep these hemostats clipped on. What I'm gonna do is I'm catching so many fish, it's kind of a pain to keep having to sit down. So I'll just keep it clipped onto my shirt. It's always there. And we just drifted back past my anchor line. Oh, got it. Everything's been in this pocket over here. You see these wakes hitting me broadside. This is where it's dangerous. Keep my knees bent. A basketball defensive stance. Did I get him? Did I stick him? I stuck him. Larger fish. We definitely found a pattern, and we definitely found a school. Ooh, calm down, buddy. I'm gonna let you go. There you go. Go tell your friends to come and play. Big, big, big fish on. This could be that same bass. Got a good set in there. Oh my god, my GoPro battery died just as I hooked into this fish. Look at this. Look at the size of this bass. She's huge. Look at her. Look at that. Oh, look at the mouth on her. She's huge. Freaking huge. Okay, my largest bass is 22 inches, but more importantly, she's heavier than any bass I've ever caught. She is 23 inches, nose to tail. New personal best. But, oh, she's got to be about 8 pounds. She's heavy. I am shaking, and I'm really sure this is the fish I saw come up that we caught on camera rising up by the boat. I can't imagine there's that many bass of that size here. Oh, please tell me the battery isn't dead on this. Battery might be dead. Oh, here you go. Okay. Oh, let's stand up. Whew. Yeah, it's 7 pounds, 12 ounces. 7 pounds, 12 ounces. I actually had to unhook. There's my anchor line way over there. I fought her for a good 5 minutes. Oh my god. So I wanted to get that on video. I'm gonna get some pictures of her. So I love about these fish grips. Put her back in the water. Oh, thank you, miss. Thank you so much, little girl. Wow. So she can breathe there for a little bit while I get my camera ready. Oh. There's some people, or a couple just paddle by on some kayaks, and they're fishing over there. I'm gonna see if maybe they will mind taking some pictures. So I caught her. I had just switched up to this. It's called a Rage Tail Menace. I've fished these a lot. There's a package right there. Bluegill color. Chartreuse head. Same jig head I was fishing earlier. Oh my God, on my ultralight rig. And I was saying earlier how there's no way I would fish for that, go after that fish with my ultralight. Well, the fishing gods had something else in mind. So I'm gonna paddle over to that couple, see if they wouldn't mind taking this picture for me, because this is a personal best and I want this on camera. It is going on 10:30. I'm ready to call it a day. That completes my day. That was unbelievable. And of course my GoPro camera died just as I hooked into her. Oh my God, let's go. All right, here's that couple. I caught up to them. They had left the cove that they were just in and pulled to the next one, but I've been towing this bad girl the whole way. Hey, excuse me. Hey, can you guys do me a favor? I need a photographer. I just caught a personal best, and just taking a picture of it in a kayak isn't gonna do it justice. I'll come to you. You're good.
You want him to do it since he's standing up?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna get out of the kayak anyway. Okay, we got some pictures of her. Let her go already. I'm heading back. I'm done. Gonna pick up my anchor on the way back and call it a day. I can't beat that. So about 20 white perch and 1 largemouth bass, and that largemouth made it all worthwhile. Wow, I'm still shaking. That thing was huge and caught on my on the lightest rig I've got, and I'm 99.9% sure that's the same one that we came up, that I saw come up right alongside of the boat. Oh my God, wow. All right, and here's the anchor right where we left it. Just came out of cove around that corner there. That's where that couple helped me with the pictures. So while I was fighting that fish, I had to unhook the anchor. Oh, I just went right over it. Otherwise, and this has happened to me in the past, the old anchor system I had would have gotten wrapped up in the line and broken me off. So I was able to go ahead and fight that fish loose, and I ended up landing it over there somewhere, but I hooked into it right here and it towed me around and over there. Had I stayed anchored, it's very likely they would have broken me off. So this anchor's already paying dividends. Only second time I've used it. Where'd it go? There you are. Oh, just missed you. Okay. All right. And up comes our anchor. That ends my day. Beautiful. And here come the big wakes. People are starting. There's jet skis coming by, ski boats coming by, So these are the dangerous ones. They hit me broadside and I don't see them coming. It could knock me out of the boat. Yes, I can swim. Yes, it's not the worry. But what happens if you get knocked off the boat and you're not expecting it? You could hit your head, knock yourself unconscious, and that's where you drown. And as much as I love fishing, I'm not willing to give my life up for it. Okay, so heading back, I just picked up my anchor. 15 minutes ahead of schedule because I can't top what just happened. That was incredible, a new personal best. So we caught about 20 white perch, lost count, I don't even know. Somewhere between 15 and 20 white perch and one largemouth bass, but that one bass made it all worthwhile. So I've got about 10-minute paddle back to the boat ramp and load up my kayak and head on home. And it's not even 11 o'clock yet. But that's the good thing about perseverance. I mean, you know, I wasn't catching any bass. Perch all day. And completely overmatched on the rig that I was using. Again, light line, light rod, and still caught the biggest fish on that. And that was fish personal best so far, fish of a lifetime. It was amazing. 7 pounds 12 ounces. That was awesome. So head on back, go pick up my dog, get home, get in the shower. That was awesome. So we'll catch you on the next fishing adventure.